On today's episode of the DuckZone503 Podcast, I'm going to be recapping and reacting to the Week 1 matchup of Portland State versus Oregon. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. This is the DuckZone503 Podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. Let's get into it, people.
Welcome to the DuckZone503 Podcast, talking all things Oregon football, with your host, Dominiqk Peterson. Let's go.
Welcome into today's edition of the DuckZone503 Podcast. The date is Monday, September 4th, 2023, and I am happy to be with you guys. The Ducks are coming off an historic 81-7 victory over the Portland State Vikings. I was there, guys. I was there in Eugene, Oregon, giving you guys the full game day experience vlog from the tailgate to the pregame, during the game, all the highlights. I give you the full game day experience right there. Join me on the ride. If you haven't seen the vlog, guys, go see it. It's on the channel. Just go ahead and click on the channel after this video. Watch the full thing. It's an awesome ride. For a lot of you guys, I understand a lot of you probably can't go to Autzen. You're in another state, another country even. This is your way to get the full game day experience. Get that vibe the best way you can right there. I give it to you. So hit that subscribe button down below. If you haven't subscribed yet to the podcast, I think we're at 817 subscribers, guys. We're doing it. We're getting there. Our goal is 1,000. That's been our goal. I've been saying it since August. That's been our goal. 1,000 subscribers. We need to get there. So hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button down there. If you're listening to Spotify on the podcast, rate the podcast. Rate the podcast. 5 stars, people. It's very important. All right. Appreciate that. Now that's out of the way, let's get into it. Recap and analysis episode. Let's get into it. All right. Can you believe it, guys? Look at that final score. 81 total points. The Ducks had a 43-point lead at halftime, and it was exactly what you wanted to see. Handle your business, right? As a Duck fan, you wanted to see this team just go out there and dominate. That's exactly what the Ducks did on a Saturday afternoon. Now, handled their business just like men. I love it. Now, the 83 points, okay? Important fact here. The 81 points was the most points for the Ducks in a game in the modern era. Scoring record at Autzen Stadium as well. So the Ducks won this game by 74-point margin, which is the highest margin of victory in the modern for Oregon football. Also, it was the largest margin of victory for the Ducks since 1916 in a game against Willamette, where they beat them by 97 points in 1916. Note, Willamette is considered a D3 school now. This is just an outright obliteration. Exactly what you want to see. Ducks come in and handle their business and put up records, historical records. They put up 746 yards of total offense. They scored 11 touchdowns from 6 different players. Absolutely electric debut from this Will Stein offense. Everybody was going to say, they were asking in the offseason, what is this Will Stein offense going to look like? Offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham off to Arizona State. Our former offensive coordinator off to Arizona State. He gave the Ducks a top 5 offense last season. Bo Nix was absolutely phenomenal. Had his name in the Heisman race last year. Now a new guy, Will Stein, who led UTSA to a pretty damn good offense and a good year last year, comes and joins the Ducks in a bigger program. And you hand him all these weapons, and we load up at wide receiver through the transfer portal. Got Bo Nix returning for a second year. Man, this looks to be a special season, guys. It was Oregon's 19th straight win. 19th straight win in a home opener, where the Ducks have won 31 straight non-conference game at home since 2008. The Ducks mascot does push-ups every point scored. So by the end of the game, he had 546 push-ups completed. I'm sure the Duck, aka the man in that costume, is feeling it in his arms right now. Let me tell you. Around 45,000 in attendance. Not bad, not bad at all. School's not in session yet. So a lot of the fan base is not there. A lot of the fan base is there, but a lot of the students aren't. So you see the big section of the student section gone. But they're going to come back later. I think around week 3 is when they start getting into their dorms, and that thing's going to be absolutely electric for Colorado because we've seen how that game ended out. We'll be recapping some of the other games around the country, some notable games a little bit later in the episode, but that was awesome. We all seen what the Buffaloes did. My final score prediction for this game I gave on Wednesday as our preview and prediction episodes was 55-14. I had the Ducks winning, and I wasn't even close in a good way. And I absolutely love that. That is exactly what you want to see as a Duck fan. This is also a huge momentum boost heading into week 2 where we're going to play Texas Tech on the road. So, man, this was just absolutely awesome win from the Ducks. So, I want to do this, guys. This is a new thing I want to add in on the recap and reaction episodes. We didn't do this last year. I just want to do, after every game, a quick little highlight reel. Let's react to some of the highlights. I'm trying to find anywhere between 2 to maybe 6-minute highlight reels. And today I found this one. I'm going to share my screen here for you guys. And let's just react to a little bit of these highlights from the game because, man, it was fun to watch. Let me tell you. So here we go. Oh, Nix here. Takes the handoff. Hands it to Troy Franklin. This is just something you're going to see all season with how many weapons the Ducks have. You can just spread out the field, take one way, go the other. They go for 2, which is awesome to see from Will Stein. Didn't really see this a lot. We've seen this a lot in the Chip Kelly era. Go for 2. Terrence Ferguson runs it in there, nice and easy. Gets it completed. Big run here from Bucky Irving. How awesome is this to see? Big explosion plays, exactly what you wanted to see. Something this offense is going to, be really good at this year. They have so many weapons. Bucky Irving gets a 55-yard run touchdown there. Here's a play action, freezes the defense to Troy Franklin, makes a move on the DB, makes another man miss. He's in the end zone. Just like clockwork, guys. Troy Franklin, Bo Nix, we're going to be seeing it all season. Here's another weapon. Jordan James, man, powering it in. Look at that offensive line, man. A lot of questions on the O-line. Look how they performed this game. 81-pointer. All right, this was a big play, too. Here we go on the kickoff. Portland State muffs the punt. The guy overruns the ball, and I think this guy's named Bodicher. Sorry if I'm missing his name, but I knew he grew up in Eugene, Oregon. So what a play he got to make for himself there, growing up in Eugene. Powering in the end zone there. Jordan James, big power goal line back, young kid. Love to see it. Stepping in for Noah Whittington. Here's another run. Bucky Irving, one play, one cut move to the end zone. This is a hot take. I think he's the best running back in the country. And I get it. I'm biased. I'm a Duck fan, but this guy can do it all, man. This guy can do it all. His stat line was absolutely insane. Here we go. Jordan James again, man. This guy is a beast. Coming out from Georgia. He was a 4-star recruit. We flipped him from the Georgia Bulldogs. Here we go. Jump ball. Gary Bryant Jr., huge addition from USC. This was absolutely awesome to see. Gary Bryant Jr. had, just as impressive performance as Troy Franklin did. So could he be the new, wide receiver 2 that these Ducks desperately need? Troy Franklin did a lot of the production for the wide receivers last year. This is awesome to see. Camden Lewis, man, this guy's a professional. This guy doesn't miss, man. Love Camden Lewis. Dowdell. Yep, the freshman kid Dowdell, Dante Dowdell coming in. He was a highly rated 4-star recruit. His high school line is absolutely insane. Jaden Lamar, had him on the channel, got the chance to interview him. He's coming out from Washington, 4-star recruit, freshman. Couple of Ducks, first career touchdowns we just seen there. That's nice to see. 81-7, historical performance. Absolutely amazing, guys. Absolutely awesome. Okay, so let's get right back into it. That highlights was absolutely awesome. Okay, so let's get into my recap and takeaways. So here we go. Here, the offense is everything I expected and more. Okay, I definitely think this Oregon offense is one of the best that we've had in a while. Wide receiver room, the offensive line, they're both very deep and talented as ever, more deeper than I've seen in a while. Oregon can go 8 deep on the offensive line. They got 5 to 6, 7, 8 deep wide receiver, very talented, very deep. This offense is dangerous, guys. We have a veteran quarterback who can easily be in the discussion for Heisman race this year. Let's look at Bo Nix's stat line. He finished with 23 of 27 passing, 286 yards, and 3 touchdowns through the air. He looks more than comfortable and more than confident than ever. He's coming out, with a lot of expectations, a lot of hype with these bodacious billboards everywhere. We've seen that. Ty Thompson looked really good today as well. He's looking very confident in this offense. Finished with 7 of 8 passing, 81 yards, and 1 touchdown. His opening series included 3 straight completions, which ended with a 21-yard pass to Gary Bryant for a touchdown. Now, I understand what everybody's saying. Well, it's against Portland State. Of course he's going to dominate. Well, that's exactly what he's supposed to do, right? That's what you want to see. In my opinion, Ty Thompson has always looked pretty good against the lower level competition. You remember against teams like Stony Brook, Eastern Washington, and now this is another game you can point at and say that looks like a starting quarterback. But here's the thing. I still want to see this level of play from Ty against better competition. And I think he's going to get his chance very soon, okay? The Ducks play Hawaii. They play Stanford in the next couple of weeks. So those are games he could get in and get meaningful reps. It'll be interesting to see how Ty develops. We all know Bo Nix is gone after the season. Ty's been sticking around. He's looking to be that quarterback 1 next year. I think he did pretty good in his first stint. Bucky Irving has a stat line of the game. 4 carries, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. That is 29.8 yards per carries, ladies and gentlemen. I guess you could say this is a hot take. I just said this on the highlight reel, but I think Bucky Irving's the best running back, not only in the conference, but in the country. Now, I get there's a pretty damn good running back over there at Michigan, but I don't think there's any running back in the country that can block, run, and catch the way Bucky can. I mean, this is your complete do-it-all back, and he's dangerous out there on the field. Kyler Casper, he really impressed me. I said it in my preseason previews, guys. There's a ton of wide receivers in this room. I said it might be hard for Kyler Casper to see the field, but in a game like this, you get to see the field and you see what Casper can do. He brings something. I believe Kyler Casper brings something to this room that no other wide receiver does. Casper standing 6'5". He has the ability to, make those goal line jump plays that could be deadly on those goal line offenses. It got called back. We seen that grab in the end zone. We see him snatch it. It was absolutely amazing. It did get called back, but you just seen the ability of what I'm talking about. At that size, a lot of these wide receivers are standing around 6'2" and maybe to 5 foot, Tez is 5'9". So it's, this guy is standing 6'5" at the wide receiver room, and the way his match with his speed and jumping ability, excellent weapon at the goal line. And we've seen a little bit of that, even though it got called back. You have to remember as well, guys, Casper, he got reclassified from the 2022 class. So he was originally in this 2023 class. He was supposed to be a freshman. He reclassified, and he was able to do that through graduation and credits and stuff like that. And he's a young buck making plays out there. So that's great to see. Love the addition of Gary Bryant Jr. That's going to be, someone who looks to step up. That was my question between, we got Tez Johnson, we got Gary Bryant Jr. coming in. Which one of those two looks to make the biggest addition, the biggest jump for the team? And so far, both those players are making some damn good plays, big additions to the team, both of them. But so far, Gary Bryant Jr., this guy's, ran away with the show. 7 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Former USC Trojan on day one can play, man. Tez Johnson, another key addition through the portal. He looked the part. Looks awesome as a punt returner. Let me tell you, a dangerous punt returner is something that Oregon has not had here in a little while now. So that's exciting. With his speed and elusiveness, he's going to be fun to watch returning kicks, man. Okay. That offense, man, the offense was absolutely elite. 81 points. Looking to be one of the best in the country. Seriously. This defense, guys, okay, I thought the defense had some week 1 jitters early in the game, allowing a couple big runs from Portland State, but after that first drive, it was over for Portland State offensively. Let's just be honest here. Portland State finished with 200 total yards, 52 yards passing. That's a dominant performance from this defense, okay? We all know the defense has their critics, myself included. I thought they did exactly what they needed to do. I think that it performed excellent. This is exactly what they needed to do. The biggest stat that I'll be watching all season for this defense is, can they get off the field? Do they stop teams on third down? That was a huge glaring area of weakness for the Ducks the last couple of seasons now. So the Ducks, they held the Vikings to 4-15 on third down this game. A great job there. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from the defense so far. Now, I get it, it's Portland State, but holding them to 7 points, 200 yards of offense, I mean, what else can you really complain about? That's exactly what you want to see. Tysheem Johnson, he was all over the field making plays. He's going to be a nice addition coming over from Ole Miss. Kyrie Jackson started at corner. He comes from Alabama. He's your prototypical landing DB. I call him your prototypical landing DB because he's standing 6'4". He's very long and athletic, something Dan Lanning looks for when he goes in out and recruits corners. So 6'4", very lengthy, very athletic. I like what I see from him. He was out there starting. Mateo Ugiagale came out with the first team defense. That's a great sign. That he's going to be great sign that he's going to be something special in the future. He's a former 5-star coming out of the prestigious St. John Bosco High School. So he's looking to be the part as a freshman. Another freshman that came in and impressed me was Dalen Austin. Came in, didn't get many reps, but when he did, man, he performed very well covering his guy. He got a pass thrown his way and cover it beautifully. I mean, exactly how you want to see a DB cover, and that was a freshman. I was very impressed. Almost picked it as well. Almost picked it. Highly rated 4-star coming in. I think you just seen why. Overall, to the offense, to the defense, guys, the Oregon Ducks came in, handled their business. Portland State received a reported $550,000 check for playing this game. So best of luck to them and to the Vikings the rest of the way. Thanks for coming in week 1 and warming up the Ducks. Really appreciate you. And it was an absolute historic performance. Glad I got to be there in Autzen and see it all. Glad the fans got to see it. And this is a great confidence booster to go into week 1 and carry that into week 2 when we play Texas Tech. All right, guys. So carrying it on here on the podcast. I really appreciate you guys. I hope, you appreciate me as well. If you do, and you want to, really show some appreciation of this podcast, as well as a little bit of advertisement, help me out a little bit. Here's a way to do it. Okay. I just, I got the merch store open. If you want to lock in, get some merch. I know some of you already bought some. I appreciate it as well. That's the way we can fund this podcast. Keep it going. Keep it free. Here's a way to do it. Appreciate everybody. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Dominiqk Peterson, host of the DuckZone503 Podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. Very excited to announce we just launched our very first merch store. Men's and women's t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, stickers, phone cases, mugs, and cups are all sold at DuckZone503.creator-spring.com. If you want to go grab one of those today, that's DuckZone503.creator-spring.com. Store link will be in the description below as well. All right, guys, you heard it best right there. Store link in the description down below. If you want to support the podcast, go ahead and do that right now for me. Appreciate everybody who does. If you don't, you guys know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Goal is 1,000 subscribers. We're sitting at 817 as we speak. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. All right, let's hit it. My 3 keys of the game for week 1 versus Portland State. I like to do this in our preview episode on Wednesdays when we preview the next game. I give 3 keys. So number 1, I had stay healthy. And we did that. No injuries. A couple guys did sit out this game. We'll talk about that on the Monday mailbag segment here later in the episode. But overall, guys stayed healthy, okay? The biggest one was Bo Nix, man. If we were to lose Bo Nix in this game, I would rip my hair out. But yeah, everybody who, is important stayed healthy. We got a lot of young guys to get a lot of reps. That was awesome. So yeah, number 1, check. Number 2, no sacks. As far as I know, sacks allowed, 0. Bo Nix wasn't touched. I don't think Ty Thompson was touched. And I don't think Autzen Novostad, who got in there a little bit, was touched either. Number 3, I had keep penalties low. The Ducks had 2 penalties for 20 yards. Wasn't bad. This is something that was very important to me going into week 1 because we're going to be on the road. And we all know you should be comfortable this game, going against a lower opponent. You're expected to win big. I didn't feel, there was a lot of pressure on the Ducks. So I felt like penalties were going to be low. So if they were high, that was a warning sign, especially if we're going to in a sold-out Texas Tech stadium where they just lost in week 1, by the way. And they're going to be hungry for that game. So if penalties were high, I would, new offensive line, 4 out of 5 starters being replaced. If we had a lot of penalties as far as the O-line goes, it would have worried me, but that wasn't the case. We only had 2 for 20 yards. I'm not exactly sure what the 2 penalties were. If I go back enough, I guess I should have done that before the podcast, but it doesn't really matter. We had 2 penalties for 20 yards. That is excellent. All 3, check. My 3s of the game hit, and we won 81-7. So that was awesome. Let's talk about some other notable games around the country. Let's start off with Colorado beat number 17 TCU. I think that was the game of the week to talk about around the country. Deion Sanders, Colorado, win in. TCU, if you remember, they played for the national championship game just a year ago. Now, they lost a lot on that team. That roster overturned a lot. Speaking of turning over rosters, Colorado overturned 80% of the roster, and it looks to be in a good way because they were 20.5-point underdogs. Everybody doubted them. I mean, I had them winning maybe 3 games this season, and they just proved me and the whole country wrong. This team is for real, guys. This team can play. Now, just because they beat a depleted TCU team doesn't mean I'm saying they're going to win the conference, but I think they went from me considering them one of the worst teams in the conference to, okay, this might be a team we got to watch out for. I'd say we match them up like Washington State. I'd like to see Washington State and Colorado play because those teams, I'd put them in the same bracket if we were putting teams in brackets. So that was a big game. Colorado will be here September 23rd. That's the first Pac-12 game. That's going to be a big one. I can't wait for that one. That might be even a top 25 matchup if Colorado keeps winning here. They play Nebraska next, Colorado State on their schedule. Hey, that's going to be a fun game. Second game I want to talk about here is Wyoming beat Texas Tech. Now, week 2, we go play Texas Tech on the road. Sold out game. A lot of preseason hype on Texas Tech. Okay, a lot of people have them as dark horse Big 12 champions. Some people think they can win the Big 12 this year. I thought they were going to be pretty damn good myself. I was expecting a damn good Texas Tech team. They go to Wyoming and lose. And that Wyoming team looked damn good. I'm not going to lie. That Wyoming team looked damn good. They had home field advantage. They won in double overtime. It wasn't like Wyoming just blew them out. It was a tough game. But Texas Tech lost that game, and they were expected to win. I think they were around like a 17-point favorite or something like that. And Texas Tech blew a 17-point lead. They were up 17 early, and man, looks ugly. We're going to be talking on Wednesday with our friends on the Tortillas and Takes podcast, as a Texas Tech-based podcast, to preview that matchup. We're gonna get their take on what happened in that game. Now, I watched the highlights. I did not watch the full game. I'm sure our friends at the Tortillas and Takes podcast did. So we're gonna get their take on the game on Wednesday. Be around on Wednesday for the preview of the Texas Tech Oregon game. But that was absolutely wild to talk about. And then the game I just saw last night, number 8 Florida State beats number 5 LSU, a top 10. I think this was the only top 10 matchup in week 1, game of the week here, and Florida State looked damn impressive. I mean, that wide receiver, Jordan Travis, looks to be the part. I didn't see a lot of Jordan Travis last year, so I had my doubts about him, but after watching him against a good LSU defense, I mean, he looks to be the part. He was making some damn good throws in the pocket. They have a good wide receiver room there, too. Florida State gets a damn good statement win. Down goes number 5 LSU. Now, their season is over. LSU has a lot of good opponents ahead of them. I think they can keep it going if they get some notable wins. It's still early in the season, right? It's just week 1. But it was a pretty bad loss to Florida State, I'm not going to lie. Okay, so the Pac-12 is the only conference. This is also notable. The Pac-12 is the only conference to go undefeated in week 1. 13-0, guys. And I think this just goes to show you guys how deep this conference really is and how good it is. We got the best, I said this in the preseason. I think the Pac-12 is going to be the second best conference to watch. Now, the SEC, obviously the best. They're top heavy. They got they got Georgia, they got Alabama. Now, they didn't have the most impressive week 1 showing, okay? A lot of their teams lost, and the Pac-12 went undefeated, but the Pac-12 didn't play a lot of great teams. Now, the big shocker was Colorado beating TCU. Stanford beating Hawaii, that was kind of a shocker to me, the way they beat them. I don't think Hawaii is that great. But, man, Pac-12 looking good this year. 13-0, only undefeated conference in college football. So how awesome is that? Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and go to the Monday mailbag. So if you guys, every Monday, I like to do this on our Monday episodes. I like to get your guys' questions and answer them to the best of my ability. And let me remind you, I'm no expert at all on the team. I'm not the journalist for the team. I just give them, my best take on what I think is going to happen, or, answer the question to my best of my ability. So if you want your question featured in a future episode here, then just DM me on our social media accounts. Okay. At DuckZone503. You can just DM us there. or you can drop them in the comment section below. And I'm sorry, I forgot to run the banner here. There you go. Let's go. Oh, that's the wrong banner. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, we're not going to run the banner right now. Anyways, guys, if you guys want a question featured, DM us at DuckZone503 on our social media accounts, or drop them in the comment section right there below. If you don't want to go do the social media thing, you're watching the video right now and you got a question on your mind, drop it in the comment. I'll be watching out for them and I'll save them for a future episode if you want them featured. So, first question here from Roman on Twitter. Ask, I was surprised by the starters on defense. What do we make of some different combinations of the players? Is Boticher really a starter over Jacobs? Anything to make of Noah Whittington? Or are some of these decisions just because it's Portland State? So, Roman, exactly. I think you just hit it on the head on your second part of the question that you had there. I think this is a decision made because it's Portland State. Now, I think if you have any kind of injury, a sprained finger, a sprained ankle, anything that bothers you to the slightest, as a head coach, Dan Lanning and the staff, I think what they're saying is, look, we're heavy favorites. I think we can take out every starter, put our second stringers in there, and still win the game pretty big. And I think that's just facts. And that's no disrespect to Portland State, but I think that's just the facts of talent on the team. So there's no reason to really risk in further injury to guys like Noah Whittington, Justin Jacobs. These are guys that are obviously starters. Do I think that Boticher is going to be the long-time starter over Justin Jacobs? No. I just think there's a previous injury history with Justin Jacobs. Okay, fall camp was just around. This new football season, guys ain't used to getting hit. Okay, you got to get a little used to it. You might get a little nick and knack here and there. And to risk any further injury to guys that are important, no, I don't think you do that. Now, Dan Lanning, he's a very hard coach, and same with Mario Cristobal, our former head coach. I watched the interviews. I watched the media ask questions. I try to get as much information as I can for you guys on the podcast. And the guy, Dan Lanning, will just not answer any questions about injuries. I mean, if a guy's not out there in practice, they'll ask about it, and the answer is just exactly the same. I've gotten to the point where if a question's asked about injury, sometimes I'll perk my ears up and say, oh, is Dan going to answer it? No, Dan's going to give you the same answer. He's just not going to answer about injury. And it's smart. It's smart. It's not because he's trying to be rude to the media or just be, oh, I'm just not going to tell you guys. It's why would you tell the opponents any information about your roster? Why would you want to let them know who's available and who's not going to be available? If keeping the question of are they going to play or what are they not going to play, whoever that player may be, is confusing for the other team to scout for. So I think that just helps and is a big advantage for you. And then here we got another question here at Cohen_Knits on Instagram asked, why didn't Chris Hudson, Noah Whittington, and Mace Funa not get in? And again, I think I just answered it from the last question, guys. This was a big question. A lot of people are asking me, like, why are these guys not getting in? If they have any slightest thing of an injury, I don't care if it's a nicked finger, little ankle injury, whatever's happening. Maybe an upset stomach happened in the morning. You just don't have a reason to really risk it, guys. You have no absolute reason to risk injury. So guys like Chris Hudson, Noah Whittington, Mace Funa, is it a talent issue? Is it something like guys are playing better than them? That could very well be the case in some areas. I'm not saying that Chris Hudson, Noah Whittington, Mace Funa are going to be permanent starters on this team. Now Mace Funa has been a permanent starter for a while now, but the Ducks made some excellent additions in the transfer portal. Now, are they going to get absolute zero snaps? No, I think that's more of the injury thing. Now, if guys have any type of injury, I think that's just what it's going to be. Okay, guys, I think that about wraps it up. That's all my thoughts. That's my recap and analysis. Not much. Just an absolute dominant performance. What you wanted to see, right? You didn't want to see the Ducks come out and win this game 42-28. You didn't want to see that. You wanted to see the Ducks put it on. I had 55-14. I was way off. We got 81-7, people. And I would never predict something like that because that's just straight up disrespectful if I was to do that. Now, is it possible in the back of my head? Yes. I know the Ducks can really put it on them, but did I expect it like that? No. And I think that just shows you the Ducks, I don't think they necessarily tried to go really hard. I don't think they necessarily tried to put up 81 points. I think they were just executing, going through the motions, and they just ended up with 81 points. That's just how much talent, that's just how good, that's just how deep this team really is. I think we're in for a very special season. I appreciate you guys for real. Okay, so we got episodes every Monday, every Monday, every Wednesday, 2 episodes a week. Then we got the vlogs. if I go to the game. I go to every home game. I'm going to Seattle this game in October, so be ready for that. It's going to be fun, guys. I'll be here for the ride. I appreciate everybody for tuning in once again. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. This is the DuckZone503 Podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. As always, guys, go